So today, the topic is going to be provider over nurturer. But I want everybody to be able to find something they can relate in, because not everybody feels the same way about relationships, especially for us, man. Like, the reason I did this, man, I was thinking about all the conversations I've had, all my duty stations with all my, coworkers. We had some interesting conversations and perspectives on relationships, whether it be good or bad.
My name is Sadia. I'm from Queens, New York. Right now I'm in Norfolk, Virginia. I am in the military, and I'm serving on the bush. And I don't know if I'm a lifer, but I'm just taking it day by day. That's all you really can do.
I'm from Pensacola, Florida, military background, 17 plus years, 3 more to go. Who's counting? Me, of course. Man, I'm stationed at NAS Jacksonville, but of course I ain't showed up yet. I'll be there on Monday, and we're gonna just make the best out of it.
Dope, man.
That's fine.
Dope. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to see y'all still doing your thing, man. And that's all you can do, like you said, Sadia. Take it day by day, man. That's how you get to 17 plus, day by day.
Oh.
So, all right. My first question is, what do you think is more important in a relationship, to be a provider or a nurturer?
Well, I think for me, man, I think you got to be both. As far as the nurturer and the provider. But it's kind of hard in the military because, as my wife, she been a nurturer and I just been a provider. I ain't been there, coming off 9 straight years of sea duty, in and out the sea, 3 carriers, back to back, and being on water all the time. And it's kind of hard to be the supporter and nurturing these kids, these beautiful kids of mine and all that. So I just give all the credit to my wife and stuff. I'm here on shore duty, I become both, the provider and the nurturer, because my wife also was a provider and a nurturer. So it's like a team effort,
Definitely.
Definitely agree with Willie. I think that it's just as important, to nurture as it is to provide. If anything, I feel it's more important to nurture, because that affects a person's complete well-being. And that affects their mental, their physical. It determines how they act in certain environments, how they, interact with different people. I think it's really important, when it comes to how you nurture individuals. Not just provide for them, because I can provide for somebody all day long, but that's not always gonna benefit the individual. You can provide for somebody, but what about showing somebody love, showing them compassion? It's ultimately gonna build those characteristics in that individual.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree. So with that being said, being that you feel that a relationship needs a nurturer and a provider, do you feel that makes the relationship 50-50?
I think the 50-50 is out the window, man. It's more of a team. 100 team effort. Everybody got to give 150% in this thing, and you only might get about 75.5% that it might go your way. If you understand what I'm saying. But as far as giving 50-50, man, that's like an F on both sides, man. So I rather you give me an A effort and we might get a B because we forgot to study last night versus, we just went in there with that average mindset. Okay, we just gonna do this and do that. You know what I mean? So I think we just be a team, go in there and give our best effort and laying on our face sometime and then get back up, keep moving,
I feel like it's definitely a team effort. You pick up, what your partner lacks, So say, for example, in his situation, I can understand, why he's the provider and she's the nurturer because he's in the military. It's hard, But for an individual that's not, I feel like when it comes to a relationship, you try to meet your partner halfway. Men have always been known to be, the providers, but I feel like the gender roles are changing and women are not only just nurturers now, they're also providers. that's important because for me, I feel like in a relationship, you should contribute to it. But also, if you want to step away from the relationship, I feel like you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be independent, you know? So I think it's important to be able to do both.
I agree with you both. I think you made some amazing points because people talk about the 50-50 thing and it's you supposed to bring half to a relationship. But like you said, really like that's failing. And people talk about this, but they talk about it from one perspective. This is a civilian's perspective where both people are actually there. Now for military members, we don't have that luxury. So if you're only giving 50 and your 50 is not there, your family's failing. They're not getting that other 50. So the other partner has to, like you said, sometimes bring 100 or 150 to the table for y'all to stay afloat until you come home. So a lot of people don't look at it like that. And I like how you use the word instead of 50-50, it's teammates. It's a partnership. Yeah. So the words we use kind of like program us to how we perceive and look at relationships. And I feel like that's something that we need to change because like you said, Sadid, you know, the gender roles have changed. Women have become just as much providers as men and vice versa. Men are being forced to become nurturers. Like you said, you do when you home, Whaley. So we need to kind of start looking at the way we identify ourselves in relationships as well.
Right. And if you look at it too, like when it comes to nurturing, like men and women both nurture differently. So like when it comes to your children, the way a dad is going to nurture their daughter is not going to be the same way, you know, a mother is going to nurture her. And, you know, little girls, they need that. Especially how the world is and the stuff, the crazy stuff that goes on out there. And you don't want, you know, her to be looking for love in a man, you know, but her father provides that nurturing for her. Like it's a start. Who knows what's going to happen? But at least he knows when he sends her out into the world, you know, he sent her out with good morals. She's loved, if that makes any sense.
Right. I agree. It starts at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely got to show love, man. You definitely got to be on them. And teach them the values, man, and don't shortchange them either. You know, sometimes they need to see the grunt. They need to see that running that you do sometimes, man, and don't sugarcoat it because a lot of it. I got a 21-year-old son now, man. Can you believe it? 21.
Dang. Oh my goodness.
21-year-old son who's about to go in the Air Force. And this is when the nurturing happens, you know what I mean? This is when the time where you have them talks and you be giving them the game. But it's already been instilled from them since day one. And that comes from the people that I hang around with because they're a positive influence. The positive influence, I'm not the only one, because it takes everybody that you are around to raise your kids, man. You might be the provider, you might be doing all that, but sometimes it takes another person on that other edge to be like, man, bring that child in and give them game as well, because it takes a whole heap of people to raise someone like me. You know what I'm saying? And I can only relate about me. You know, my parents, well, they had something on their hands when they was raising me. You know what I mean? So it took so many people to give me a little game along the way, because you know it takes everybody. And you're a part of Clay is one of the people who, you know, we did that for them kids. So it's still there.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, if you don't get it from the right people, you're going to get it from the wrong people. So, I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you. So, with that being said, you both spoke a little bit about nurturing. You both spoke a little bit about providing. So, from your perspective, you both feel like you have to be a nurturer and a provider, correct? Or do you feel like that you excel at one more than the other?
To be truthful, I probably do excel more into the providing side, just because of the way it came. You know, the way the game came to it, that's how it had to happen. You know, now I'm behind the curve with the nurturing, and that's where my time and my effort, the same effort I give every day that I go to work, is the same effort I should give my family to get up to par and beyond par. You know, so that's it, man. You know, that's my perspective on it. That's my truthful, you know.
Right. Definitely,
I know
definitely.
that you should be both, but I mean, to be honest, like to be a nurturer, that's a skill set that everybody doesn't have, over time, so sometimes, you can't really expect somebody to, be a natural nurturer, because for women it comes naturally sometimes, but for men it doesn't. So, sometimes you guys have to work on that together.
I agree. I definitely agree. I'm gonna ask you first, Adia,
Uh-oh.
because since you're not married, do you feel that in a relationship you need a provider or a nurturer for to balance you out in a relationship?
I feel like both. Like, of course, you want a man is naturally supposed to be a provider. So you
Okay.
want a man to provide for you. But at the same time, too, I want him to nurture me, too. Relationships, sometimes you go through things, and sometimes it takes your partner to kind of like, help you get through it. So I feel like I do want him to nurture me, because nurturing goes hand in hand with communication, showing intimacy, like, romance, just talking, me listening to how he feels, him listening to how I feel. So I think definitely, hell yeah, you got to be a nurturer. You can't just be a provider, or it's just not going to work.
Okay. Okay.
Because I could find a provider anywhere, you know what I'm saying?
Man, if I was not married, which is hard for me to say, man, but if I wasn't married, man, I have to be where I'm at now. You got to be the full package, the whole package, not no half stepping. And at this age where we at, I want someone to be, providing, able to provide, because we're in the world now with all this COVID and all that. Person laid off, one person might have to work, one person is not working, or whatever it may be, whatever the blessing take them. You know what I mean? But it, you need to have both. You need to be able to do both. You need to be a team, man. That's the biggest thing, because this world it's not cheap, man. We're not in where you can get some milk for 25 cents. You know what I mean? Milk $5. So you got to get it right.
And that's not
And
fair. Like, for you to have to just take care of somebody the whole entire time and they bring absolutely nothing to the table.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
nah,
paid.
Especially in the military's position, when you feel like all you doing is working and you're never home and all you do is can provide and the other person ain't doing nothing to help the situation, it kind of makes you feel, taken for granted or, taken advantage of. And from the nurturing side, my opinion is that's very important, but you have to have a partner and you have to be a partner yourself that's open to being nurtured. Because then you have those who don't know how to communicate. You have those who don't know how to express themselves, who don't know how to console their partner. So, like you said, that's a skill set that you develop. You could learn that from your partner, or you could have learned that from your upbringing. But if you don't have it, it kind of handicaps you when you're walking into a partnership. So I definitely
right.
agree
It
with
does. It does. And hopefully they meet someone that's a little patient, that understands that, and that tries to work through it, because sometimes it's not always easy.
you. Patience
Yeah.
is a virtue. Patience is
Oh
definitely a
man.
virtue.
You learn that real quick. You're running real quick. If you ain't got no patience, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
Just
you do.
slow that Mustang down and look, man. Look both ways before you cross the street, man.
Definitely, definitely.
Definitely agree.
So this next question I want to ask you to basically for your field as military members, how do you manage as a provider and a nurturer as a military member, being that, like you said earlier, Whaley, that you don't get to be home as much as possible. So you said when you do come home, you try to do that. But what does that look like for you, being a nurturer and a provider as a military member?
Oh man, that's an easy one, man. My wife, man, she holds it down and she makes sure I'm in the loop. She keeps me in the loop. So so it's not like one kid or whatever can say something to her and then I don't know about it. You get what I'm saying? Of course
Right.
she has the realm of just going ahead and answering and holding it down and all that stuff, because we trust each other for that. You know what I mean? To make sure we both on that. So it's not hard being both. It's just the communication that makes that. If you don't have communication, yes, it's gonna be very hard. You get what I'm saying? Because kids act out, and grown folks act out. You know what I mean? So we all got to be accountable for what's going on, and accountability is a big thing. And we learn that in the military. So you hold yourself accountable, you hold your spouse accountable, you hold your kids up to a certain standard at the age of whatever age they want to start listening. You know what I mean? And then that's how that goes. So the nurturing part is is it's harder for me. It might be easier for someone else because my upbringing, man, my dad was the provider and my mom was a provider. You know what I'm saying? That it was, that shift. We talked about that before. It's when the family, when my dad wasn't there, so it was my mom. She's the provider and the nurturer. And
Mm-hmm.
then my dad came on the scoop. You know what I mean? He became the provider and the nurturer. You know what I mean? So they was a team. So it made it easier for me to get married and be both. You know what I mean? Because I saw both sides on how. Because my mom and dad can cook. And they was like, hey, boy, you better learn how to cook. Or you marry somebody you don't know how to nurture you. You know what I mean? So that's how that went, man. So that's all I got to
I
say
mean, I
about it.
learned from like past experiences, especially being in the military, because now like the person I'm dating, he's not in the military, so he's not used to what I do, and he doesn't necessarily fully understand like my lifestyle. So when I come in, I have to remember like to cater to him, and then he'll remind. And I appreciate that, because if he doesn't tell me and I don't notice that I'm messing up, I can't correct myself. So I try to, be sensitive to the fact that he's not in the military, and I try to, give him just as much attention as I would give like my job. Because at the end of the day, like, right now, that's kind of like my forever. I don't know if the military is going to be my forever. So I don't want to lose somebody because I'm neglecting them. So you got to learn to balance. You got to learn to balance your personal life
Yeah.
and your work life. So I'm still learning that, but it's good to have somebody remind me like when I'm kind of falling off a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Like you both said, communication is huge. Without communication, like you said, you don't know what your partner may need or expect from you, or you don't know what's going on. And I think that's dope, like how you described it, Whaley, whereas your wife is an extension of you, even when you're not there. She keeps you in the loop. So therefore, you're always involved in each and every
Yeah.
process. So it makes it a lot easier for you to transition yourself coming back into the equation. A lot of people I've watched in my time in the military, they don't do that, and it's a lot harder because it's almost like two separate houses, and you're trying to merge them when you come home, and things don't go well, and you only have a little bit of time, even less than it used to be. It used to be a year we come back. Now you're getting what, 2, 3 months, then you're gone again.
Man, you're gone.
It's kind of hard to give that same energy in a short amount of time. But when you are home, you should give that just as much, if not more, energy to your personal life as you do to your job.
Yeah.
Because
That's
go
that's
ahead.
not to cut you off, man, but that's the difficult part though. When
It
you
is.
come back, man, it's like certain things, man. You really been so what a lot of people don't understand about the military is, right? You'll be out to sea, and yes, we're without our family and stuff like that, right? But when we out there, man, we are in close quarters. It's someone that always with us. We might hit different cities, different countries, and stuff like that. But we are always with someone. We got a curfew. We like a child. So when we get back, we just want to have a little bit of freedom. And and sometimes that is a conflict with your spouse or whatever, because sometimes you wanna try to get yourself together to to be able to nurture someone else. You know what I mean? But because you ain't even nurture yourself yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's not you ain't developed that comfortable feeling for yourself. And it took me years to understand that, you know what I mean? Because I felt like I was out there working, working, working and all that. I wasn't taking into consideration of what she was going through. You get what I'm
Mm.
saying? As being with the kids and not having a break as well. All I was being selfish to myself because that's all I knew. You know what I mean? Which our job is very crazy, but I think their job here as well. It's what a person deal with on a daily basis. You know what I mean? If they just pushing papers all day, for them that is a lot of stress. For me, it wouldn't be nothing. but that's not what they're accustomed to. So
Right.
you gotta be sensitive to that shit. You know what I mean? Not to cuss, but you gotta be sensitive to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And that took me years, and I'm still learning it. You know what I mean? And through relationships, that's what you're gonna get though. You're gonna
Right.
get that. So when you coming home to your boyfriend or whatever, and sometimes he just need to understand that ABEs, woo, crazy. You know what I mean? It is a crazy day. You get cussed out for nothing. You know what I mean? Are you dealing with knuckleheads all day? So when you come in the house, something that I did, right, real quick, something that I do when I got off the boat, I get off of work, I get in my car, and I might take the long ride home just to clear my head. It'll be traffic across the bridge going to Norfolk. You know how Norfolk is. And I drive all the way around C6 for and come back to Newport News just to clear my head. When I got home, I didn't bring that energy home. It's hard not to bring it home sometimes. You get from 6:15 once you walk in, and when you're a leader, you got so much stuff going on, and it's building up, building up. So you got all this stuff. By the time you get home, you just trying to, all right, now I got to get myself together for them. It's like a 6:15 again at 4:15. You know what I mean? To get
Right.
developed. So yeah, I had to make sure I come home and understand my kids and all that. I know it's short time and all that stuff. It's crazy though.
My chief used to tell me, he's like, Henderson, he's like, when you leave that ship, you leave your damn work on that ship. He's like, don't take it home with you know, because you gotta, focus on yourself while you're at home,
Yeah.
because that job, you know how it is. It'll stress you out. Sometimes you put it first, so you forget about everybody else and everything else, And I told myself, of course, I'm gonna work as hard as possible, but I would just never do that again. Like work myself to the point where I'm just like, I don't even recognize myself. I'll never do that again because I'm sure I drove myself crazy and I drove a few other people crazy too. So I can't do that again.
Like both of y'all said, man. Like for me, I live by that same motto. Don't take your work home. But and a lot you hear that a lot from a lot of mentors and leadership, but they don't tell you what that looks like because that's up to you to figure out what that means and translates for you. For me leaving my work at home meant that after work, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, rush to my car and go home. I had to take my time to decompress. Sometimes I would go to the gym because that was the most therapeutic thing for me to go home. And even though most of the time I was single, I went home to a home by myself. I didn't want to go home and still be thinking about work. So I did what I had to do to leave work at work. Like you said, Willie, you take the long ride home and that's what it took for you, and whatever you had to do, Sadir. But that's a big thing. That's a big thing in growth that you have to learn. That's the way you make it to 20 years. You have to learn how to adjust. And the biggest takeaway is realizing when you're doing more for the job than you're doing for yourself and it's not balanced. Because when it's all said and done, they're not recognizing you for everything you've done. They'll give you an award here and there, but your body of work, you don't get recognized for that. When I left, out of everything I've done, I ain't get nothing. I ain't expect nothing. But I knew the game at that point. On to the next one. As soon as I told him I was leaving, that's just what it was. So you got to understand that at the end of the day, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody will. Yeah. So you have to find your balance. You have to find your peace. That's the only way you're gonna get through that day by day. But I think I put too much into them, and I realized too late that I wasn't putting enough in me. It was too hard for me to balance it back out, and I felt like I was losing control of myself. So for me, that's what happened to me. So I try to encourage other people, to be more conscious and aware of that.
That was a good one right there.
What is the most important thing you need from the provider in a relationship, in your opinion? What is the most important thing you need from the provider?
Ooh. I would say just love. I think that's the most important thing. Like love, because I could provide for myself. So I think just love, affection, That's what I need. Understanding, that's what's important to me.
So technically, you're saying you don't need a provider. You just need someone, a nurturer. You don't need the providing aspect from your partner.
I would like it, of course, but I feel like if I'm, gonna marry somebody, I would, would
Right,
like
right.
to, it for it to be both ways. Me take care of him take care of me. But, I just don't want that individual to think it's just all about money. Like, you have to do this, you have to buy me this, you have to do that. Because, some people do think like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't look at a man as like my personal piggy bank, with the penis attached. I don't look at them like that. I look at them, as a companion, so I want to feel that love. I don't want to just, look for somebody to buy me something, even though
Yes.
it's nice, but that's not the only thing that I want.
Right, right.
Man, peace, man. I want to be happy, man, and that's it. The happiness goes a long way. You know what I mean? The caring, and all that stuff. That's what I really need. I need that, and I have that. You get what I'm saying? I think it's the biggest thing that I need is someone who can put me in my place when I'm wrong. That's me. You get what I'm saying? Don't let me be a runover. You know what I mean? But I find the littlest thing, and I take. You give me an inch, I'm taking about 8 miles.
No
You know what I'm
doubt.
saying? So as far as that, man, I'm like hen dog over there, man. Just love me, and we provide for each other. That means if I take you to the movies, you paying for the dinner, and you know what I mean. And I like to see the waitress, man. When my wife take me out, man, I like to see the waitress give me the tab, and my wife take the tab and she pay. You know what I mean? I love that.
Okay. Okay. Like that. I like that. Okay. So on the other side, what is the most important thing? And you both kind of spoke to that a little bit. What is the most important thing you need from the nurturing relationship that you feel? You said love, and you basically said, pretty much the same thing, love and attention. So you kind of view them both as one, not separate. Correct me
Yeah,
if I'm
I would say is definitely on the lines of one. And I would say communication too. Just like, Willie has said, I don't want somebody to just agree with everything I say. Like, if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. If you're wrong, I'm definitely gonna let you know that you're wrong. So I feel like it goes both ways.
Yeah, we know. We know, man, cause women gonna let you know. They
Hmm.
gonna let you know. A real one gonna let you know right away. And
And I
and
feel like it's
that's
how you say it though too. Like, cause you could say something, but I think delivery is key. So I try to, watch my delivery. If that makes sense.
That's big. That's big. How you say something goes a long way in how it's received. A lot of people say a lot of good things and a lot of good advice, but their delivery is not the best. So it might not even be acknowledged by their partner. Whereas you have people who know when you learn your partner, you learn how to communicate with your partner. When you learn to communicate to your partner, you learn how to uh, motivate and encourage, even demotivate and hurt your partner because you're in tune with what they are. So it can go both ways, but I feel knowing your partner, you learn how to communicate with them. And when you learn how to communicate with them, you learn how to really communicate as one. And I feel like that's a big thing that people take for granted because that comes with time. That comes with taking the effort and getting to know your partner, not just because in the military, a lot of stuff is rushed. A lot of people rush. I watch people come in fresh out of boot camp and then get married within 3 months of being on the ship and then uprooting their partner from their hometown to bring them there and then go straight on deployment. I'm like, you setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You setting them up for failure and you're setting yourself up for failure.
If you don't talk to me nice, don't talk to me at all.